Iron Man, Tony Stark. Anthony Edward Stark was born into wealth as the son of Howard Stark, a brilliant inventor and weapons manufacturer who ran Stark Industries. Tony grew up with every advantage money could buy, but he also inherited his father's genius for technology and engineering. Tony became a child prodigy who understood complex machines and scientific concepts while still very young. After his parents died, Tony inherited Stark Industries and continued his father's work making advanced weapons and technology for military contracts. He lived as a wealthy playboy who enjoyed parties, expensive cars, and the attention that came with being a billionaire genius. Tony traveled the world demonstrating his company's weapons to military forces and government officials, never thinking too deeply about how his inventions were being used or who might get hurt by them. Everything changed when Tony went to a war zone to demonstrate his latest missile technology. The original story placed this in Vietnam during that conflict, though later versions updated the location to more recent Middle Eastern wars to keep the character relevant. During the demonstration, an explosion went off near Tony, and shrapnel from one of his own company's weapons tore into his chest, lodging dangerously close to his heart. Enemy forces captured the badly wounded Tony and held him prisoner in a cave. The shrapnel was slowly working its way toward his heart, and Tony would die within days or weeks without help. His captors wanted Tony to build them powerful weapons using his genius, offering to keep him alive in exchange. In that cave prison, Tony met another captive named Ho Yin-sen, a fellow scientist who helped save Tony's life. Yin-sen created a crude electromagnet powered by a car battery that kept the shrapnel from reaching Tony's heart. Tony knew the battery would not last forever, so he designed a better solution. Using spare parts and old weapons lying around the cave, Tony built a miniature device that could power the electromagnet indefinitely. This chest device looked like a glowing disc embedded in Tony's body and became necessary to keep him alive. The device also generated enough power for something much bigger. Instead of building weapons for his captors like they demanded, Tony secretly used his time to construct the first Iron Man suit. The Mark I armor was crude and bulky, made from whatever metal Tony could find in the cave. It was painted gray and looked more like a walking tank than the sleek red and gold suits Tony would create later. The armor gave Tony superhuman strength, protected him from bullets and explosions, and included basic weapons like flamethrowers. When the suit was ready, Tony and Yin-sen attempted their escape. Yin-sen sacrificed his own life to buy Tony enough time to power up the armor, and his death deeply affected Tony. Wearing the Iron Man suit for the first time, Tony fought his way out of the cave and destroyed the weapons stockpiles his captors had collected. After escaping and returning to America, Tony announced that Stark Industries would stop making weapons. He realized that his inventions had caused suffering and death for innocent people around the world, including the weapons that nearly killed him. Tony decided to use his genius differently, becoming the superhero Iron Man to protect people instead of creating tools for war. He improved the armor design constantly, making it lighter, faster, and more powerful with each new version. The chest device evolved too, eventually becoming known as an arc reactor that produced clean energy while keeping Tony alive. Tony Stark became one of the founding members of the Avengers, bringing his wealth, technology, and strategic mind to the team. His money funded the Avengers' headquarters and equipment, while his technical skills helped solve problems the other heroes faced. Tony designed and built specialized technology for his teammates, creating new weapons and tools to help them fight dangerous threats. Iron Man fought alongside Captain America, Thor, Hulk, and other heroes against enemies no single superhero could defeat alone. As both Tony Stark and Iron Man, he became one of the most recognized heroes in the world, though his ego and attitude often created tension with his teammates. Tony believed his intelligence made him right most of the time, which led to arguments and disagreements with other Avengers who had different ideas about how to handle situations. One of Tony's defining struggles came in the storyline called Demon in a Bottle, published in 1979 across 9 issues of Iron Man comics. The story revealed that Tony had developed a serious drinking problem that was destroying his life. Everything seemed to go wrong at once for Tony. A villain named Justin Hammer hacked into Tony's armor and made it malfunction during a public event, causing Iron Man to accidentally kill an ambassador. The scandal destroyed Iron Man's reputation and put enormous pressure on Tony. Around the same time, the government organization SHIELD secretly bought shares in Stark Industries until they nearly controlled Tony's own company. Tony started drinking heavily to cope with the stress and loss of control in his life. He drank before going into battle as Iron Man, he drank at business meetings, and he drank alone at home. His drinking became worse and worse until it affected everything he did. Tony's faithful butler Jarvis finally quit working for him after Tony drunkenly yelled insults at him. Jarvis then sold his stock in Stark Industries to SHIELD, giving them controlling interest in Tony's company. Tony's girlfriend Bethany Cabe confronted him about his alcoholism, telling Tony that he would keep drinking until it killed him unless he admitted he had a problem and accepted help. Tony finally acknowledged his addiction and agreed to quit drinking with Bethany's support. The story ended with Tony sober and determined to regain control of his company and his life. Tony's alcoholism became a permanent part of his character, with later stories showing him relapse and struggle with sobriety throughout the years. Writer Denny O'Neil later wrote a story where Tony fell back into drinking so badly that his friend James Rhodes had to take over as Iron Man while Tony recovered. The Extremis storyline in 2005 revolutionized Iron Man for modern readers. Writer Warren Ellis and artist Adi Granov created a story about a dangerous new technology called Extremis, which was basically a virus made of tiny machines that could rewrite a person's entire body at the genetic level. A domestic terrorist stole a sample of Extremis and injected himself with it, giving him superhuman strength, speed, and the ability to breathe fire. This villain was so powerful that Iron Man's regular armor could not defeat him. During their first fight, the Extremis-enhanced terrorist nearly killed Tony, leaving him broken and dying. Tony made a desperate choice to inject himself with a modified version of Extremis to survive and have any chance of stopping the villain. The Extremis process was agonizing, essentially killing Tony's body and rebuilding it over 3 days inside a protective cocoon of hardened skin. When Tony emerged, Extremis had changed him forever. His body could now interface directly with machines and computer systems just by thinking. More importantly, Tony could store the basic Iron Man armor inside his own body at a microscopic level in his bones and tissue. By concentrating, Tony could make the armor flow out of his skin and cover his body in seconds. This made Tony part machine himself, blurring the line between man and suit. Extremis made Iron Man faster and more powerful than ever before, but it also raised questions about how much humanity Tony was willing to sacrifice for power. The Civil War storyline in 2006 divided the superhero community and turned Tony Stark into a controversial figure. After a group of young heroes accidentally caused an explosion that killed hundreds of civilians, including many children, the United States government passed the Superhuman Registration Act. This law required all people with superpowers to register with the government, reveal their secret identities, and essentially become federal agents. Tony Stark supported the Registration Act, believing that heroes needed proper training and oversight to prevent more tragedies. He thought cooperation with the government was the responsible path forward. Captain America opposed the act, seeing it as a violation of civil liberties that would turn heroes into government weapons. The superhero community split into two sides, with Iron Man leading the pro-registration forces and Captain America leading the resistance. Tony recruited other heroes, built a prison in another dimension to hold unregistered heroes, and even employed reformed villains to help hunt down Captain America's team. The conflict escalated into open warfare, with former friends and allies fighting each other in the streets. During the final battle in New York, Captain America realized the fighting was causing more harm to innocent people than it was helping anyone. He surrendered to end the violence, and many viewed Tony as having won through morally questionable methods. Tony became director of SHIELD and gained enormous power, but at the cost of friendships and his reputation among many heroes who saw him as a traitor. Tony Stark also founded the Illuminati, a secret organization of the most powerful heroes on Earth. After the Kree-Skrull War nearly destroyed the planet, Tony realized that Earth's heroes each had important information that could have prevented the crisis if they had shared it earlier. Tony brought together Doctor Strange, Mr. Fantastic Reed Richards, Professor Charles Xavier, Black Bolt, King of the Inhumans, and Namor, ruler of Atlantis, for a secret meeting. Tony proposed creating a permanent superhero government, but the others rejected that idea as too complicated and likely to fail. Instead, they agreed to meet secretly whenever major threats arose, sharing information and coordinating their responses while keeping the group's existence hidden from everyone, including their own teammates and families. Black Panther attended the first meeting but refused to join, predicting the Illuminati would eventually cause disaster. The Illuminati made several controversial decisions over the years, including shooting Hulk into space when they deemed him too dangerous, which led to the Planet Hulk storyline. The group collected all 6 Infinity Stones and divided them among members to prevent anyone from assembling them. Later, when alternate universes started colliding with their own reality, the Illuminati reformed to find solutions, even if it meant destroying other Earths to save their own. Their secrecy and willingness to make harsh decisions without consulting other heroes eventually caused major problems and damaged trust in the superhero community. Iron Man faced many dangerous villains throughout his career. The Mandarin became his greatest enemy, a criminal mastermind who wore 10 rings of alien origin that each granted different powers. The Mandarin matched Tony in intelligence while possessing abilities Tony's technology struggled to counter. Obadiah Stane took over Stark Industries through corporate manipulation and created his own armor called Ironmonger to fight Iron Man. Justin Hammer was a rival industrialist who hacked Tony's armor and funded other armored villains to destroy Iron Man's reputation. The Titanium Man represented the Soviet Union during the Cold War as their answer to Iron Man. Many of Tony's enemies wore their own versions of powered armor, turning his greatest creation into a template for villains to copy and improve upon. Over decades of publication, Tony continuously upgraded his armor with new technology, creating hundreds of different suits designed for specific purposes. He built underwater armor, space armor, stealth armor, and even armor made from pure energy. Each new suit represented Tony's never-ending drive to improve and evolve, using his genius to stay ahead of threats and protect the world as Iron Man. Before we move on, make sure to subscribe if you're enjoying this breakdown.